Bohemian Rhapsody. So Bohemian Rhapsody is the true biographical tale of Freddie Mercury, who was the lead singer of Queen, and by extension, Queen itself. Going into this movie, I had been looking forward to it for a long time, ever since they first showed the trailer of it in theaters, and I had been thinking, well, I want to see this movie because I'm a big fan of Queen. And I don't know how many people actually are fans of Queen. I imagine there's a lot of you, and there's some people who may not know, but for the two of you who do not know Queen, just know that they are probably considered, well, they are definitely considered one of the greatest rock bands of all time, if not the greatest, and that's all in no small part thanks to Freddie Mercury himself. So Freddie Mercury is obviously the leading role in this movie, and he's played by Rami Malek. For those of you who have ever watched Mr. Robot, well, he's the lead character, so basically Elliot is playing one of the greatest rock singers of all time in this movie. Now let's get straight to the point. Rami Malek doesn't do a good job in this movie. He doesn't even do a great job. He does a fucking phenomenal job. Like, he completely owned this movie from top to bottom. It's actually very hard to kind of like nail down certain personas and historical figures, because sometimes people like to do impersonations or try to like do their own thing. But watching this movie, I didn't see Rami Malek at all. I just saw Freddie Mercury. So he actually gets into character. He looks like him, he sounds like him, he acts like him. As far as I'm concerned, he is him in this movie. And that goes actually for the rest of the members of Queen. When you see Brian May, he actually looks like Brian May. When you see Roger Taylor, he looks like Roger Taylor. John Deacon, he looks like John Deacon, and so on and so forth. They're not just impersonations of just people acting out a role. They're actually being those people. And that's important, and that's one of the things I extremely loved about this movie. The movie pretty much goes into like his early years as like a 20-year-old person, Freddie Mercury I'm talking about, and basically details everything from that to how he got his start, to how he formed Queen, to Queen's rise, and everything surrounding it, everything leading up to, well, a really big event that happened in the 80s. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm just going to say that. And there's a lot of twists and turns, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of different events that take place, and the movie pretty much goes into emphasis on a lot of these. Sadly, sometimes they don't completely get through everything. I mean, I understand that it's a 2.5-hour movie. Well, it's actually 2 hours and 14 minutes, so there's only so many things they can get through. But from what I saw, they did a pretty fantastic job of what you see on screen. You see a lot of their music, obviously. That's the big thing. I mean, when you actually hear them coming up with the names for the music and how they're like putting all the work into it, it actually feels really authentic. And needless to say, people watching this will actually kind of like figure out what songs they're trying to sing and how they get along, and actually kind of start getting involved with the music themselves, because, let's be honest, it's almost a crime. Well, it's not really a crime, it's more like a shame for people who don't know Queen's music at all. It actually shows a lot of work that also goes into like making music. I mean, I've never been in a music band or anything, so I don't know, but I imagine it takes a lot of work and a lot of time. It also shows some of the flaws of Freddie Mercury's character. I mean, it shows all the good things and some of the bad things. I mean, he's only one person. He's only a real-life human. Everyone makes mistakes, and at points where you're like, he's the greatest person ever, he's like a musical genius, other points where you're like, well, you're kind of a dick, bro. Like, yeah, you're a bit of a douche. You might want to tone that down. But sadly, that's the reality that we live in. That's the reality that he lived. There are a couple problems I did have with the movie, namely that when I was watching certain parts of it, I thought to myself, certain songs that are being shown on screen or heard, I don't actually think those songs actually came out when they did, so there's a little bit of inconsistency as far as the timeline and what songs are playing when. And that kind of jumped out at me, and then I went to go look it up and I realized, they actually didn't make that right. There are other things that are kind of glossed over in his life, but again, 2-hour and 14-minute movie, only so many things you can do. Strangely enough, the surviving members of Queen, Brian May and Roger Taylor, they were consultants on this film and had a lot of input on it. So I imagine they knew what they were doing, but for other reasons they probably couldn't show things or do things. So I will give them the benefit of the doubt on that. The ending of the movie, the very last scene of this movie, was epic. It was extremely well shot. I don't know how to say it. It's like almost a shot-for-shot, like perfect reenactment of a specific event. Like, it's really hyper and it feels actually like it played out. There are people in the audience who probably saw this live when it happened, and they could probably tell you how close this was to the real thing. I actually went and looked it up myself, and it was phenomenal. And the movie didn't actually feel like 2 hours and 14 minutes. I mean, it is, and I can tell that when I looked at the clock, but it actually goes by very nicely. The pacing is pretty top-notch at this point. Guys, by the end of the movie, I was thoroughly excited. There are some things in this movie that I learned about Freddie Mercury and Queen that I didn't know before. there's a lot of things I never took into account that now I'm more excited to learn about. It was great. It was phenomenal. I had a very good time with this. I actually think it might be one of my favorite movies of the year. Minus the inconsistencies in certain other things, I would say this is a damn good movie, and for that reason, I'm giving it a gold ribbon rating. So, Bohemian Rhapsody, what did you think? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? What's your favorite Queen song ever? Whatever it is, leave me a comment below and tell me how you feel. Also, don't forget to check out my Twitter at @AshleyBikes. Don't forget to check out my blog. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like what you see here and you want to see more. And share it. You can click on the link below and wait till the end of the video. And as always, I will see you around. So until then, this is me saying, peace out.